I received this 4G camera free of charge so that I could check it out and tell you all about it. Now this is by HxVision and it is a 4G only camera. Now there is a model that supports Wi-Fi and there's other models that support also wired Ethernet, but this one is 4G only. So keep in mind that if your needs are using Wi-Fi with this camera, you should check the other models also sold by HxVision. This again, like I mentioned, is a 4G only model. So we're going to start with an unboxing and I'm going to install it and I'm going to show you some of the footage so that we can gauge how good the image quality is and maybe go over some of the features. So like I said, let's start by unboxing and see what's inside the box. So it's a pretty large box, as you can see. I would say it's about 12 inches or so. Well, I actually got a tape, measuring tape, just over 13 inches in case it matters to you. So it is a pretty big box. Now you get the quick start guide right on top of the box, and let's see, we got the solar panel. Okay, so the solar panel has a cable that's USB-C. Okay, so a rather long USB-C cable, and you got some threads in here. So there should be some mounting options included in the box. Let's check that out. And let's see, the camera itself, from what I can tell, is actually pretty big. It's much bigger than I anticipated. I guess in my head I was just expecting something as big as a baby monitor or something like that. So this kind of has the shape of it, and I guess that's why I had in my mind that idea of a baby monitor, but this is like on steroids. It's really big. Now it's got 4G antennas, so if you are trying to use this with a SIM card, then you can. So we got an input port here and we got an on-off switch. So this is because, if I'm not mistaken, this is a battery for this camera. Okay, so let me see if I can see where the SIM would go. And this flap right here is like a double flap of sorts because it's got a second flap. Maybe you can see that here. It's got a very tiny flap, and this is where the USB-C cable goes in, so that this has some weather protection. Okay, so that's pretty cool. So I'm guessing you mount the camera like this, or you can flip it over and then mount it like this. Okay, so I'm going to check out my outdoor location where I'm going to set it up, and then I'll show you what position I end up with. Now this is a mounting arm, and the mounting arm will let you, let's see, I was actually going to speak without actually realizing what this does, but okay, I'm guessing the mounting arm is primarily for the solar panel because of these groups that I see right here. And they seem to match, yeah, they match exactly the threads in the solar panel. So this is the mounting for the solar panel. And I live in a very sunny city, so this is going to come in clutch. I shouldn't have to be worrying about powering this thing. And we got a SIM card in here. However, I don't see the SIM card itself. Maybe it's already installed, quite possibly. And this is from EIoT Club. Make IoT easier. Okay. It's probably pre-installed. I'm gonna check that out. And then we got some tools. We got a Phillips screwdriver and some screws. So these are the screws that are for the mounting bracket. And that's it. That's all we have in the camera. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and install it, and we're going to check out the app and the features and whatnot. So stay tuned.
So installing the camera was fairly easy. I simply drilled a couple of holes for the mounting bracket and another 2 holes for the camera itself, and I positioned them as, well, not as close as possible, but at a reasonable distance so that the cable from the solar panel reaches the camera itself. And the idea is that as long as there is sunlight, the camera is going to be charging. Now this is optional, of course, if you happen to have access to a constant 5-volt source. For example, you have a power outlet and you have a charger, then you can simply use any USB-C cable with any 5-volt charger to continuously charge your camera. Either way is fine. But again, the idea of having this type of camera is to install it perhaps on a remote location. So say that you need to keep your eyes on a property, or on a store or whatever, any area that you want to keep your eyes on, but you don't have access to Wi-Fi and you don't have access to a wire connection, and you might not even have access to electricity, but you do have access to cellular data. So in this case, the 4G camera is going to work perfectly. Now, on that note, it's worth mentioning that the camera will not work at all if it is not connected to any 4G data network. So it has to be connected. It does it automatically as soon as you turn it on. But if the camera does not manage to establish a 4G connection, then it's not going to work at all. Okay, so this led me to test something else, because as I mentioned in the unboxing process, there is a nano SIM included, and it is already pre-installed in the camera. However, in my location, I do not have access to whatever network that that nano SIM connects to. I am actually at this moment located in Central America, and so I tested a local SIM card, and I was able to seamlessly connect to a 4G network, to a local 4G network, without needing to do any roaming or any configuration at all. All I did was swap the SIM, the one that was included in the box, with a local SIM from the country that I'm in right now, and it worked seamlessly. I simply swapped, like I said, I simply swapped the SIMs and it worked. So the setup process is fairly simple as well. Once you put whatever SIM card you're going to use in the camera, you turn it on, it automatically connects by itself. You don't have to do any input or anything like that. Basically, you just wait for the camera to boot up. It's going to start looking around, and then it's going to let you know with an audible alert that a 4G connection was established. If for any reason a connection is not established, the camera will also let you know that a 4G connection was not successful. So once a connection is successful and you listen via the audible alert, then you can grab the app, you can scan the QR code, and then it's going to attempt to connect to the camera. So apparently it uses the internet to locate the camera via the 4G network and establish a connection directly. And after that, you just do a couple of quick setups. You can name the camera, you can configure other settings, but it is actually fairly easy to get right into being able to look at the footage of the camera. Now, this has a dual lens, which is kind of cool because you can have a surveillance of 2 areas at the same time. So the top camera is the one that is fixed location, but this is like a semi-fixed location, so to speak, because you can rotate where the camera is going to be pointing at, and you do that manually. You simply grab the upper part of the camera, or the one that's close to the base, and then you can simply rotate it with your hands. Now the bottom camera is the one that rotates with a motor. And you can do that via the app. You can tell it where to point. Now there's another neat thing about this, and it is that it has people detection. In other words, if it detects somebody in the frame, the camera is going to follow that person with a reasonable, reasonable success. Meaning that if the person happens to run out of the frame, then the camera is not going to be able to catch up. But if a person is simply walking, then the camera is going to be able to follow it, or follow the person with absolutely no problems. Now, I have been showing you some footage somewhere around here, but this was recorded using the application on the phone. Now, the camera does come with a 32GB memory card, and it does record pretty much automatically without you asking the camera to do anything. As soon as it turns on, it starts recording. However, I did notice that it comes with a sort of proprietary type of file, and I could not find a way to play back those videos. I mean, you can, or I actually was able to decode them using Handbrake, but it seems that the video has a merge of the upper and lower cameras at the same time, and so the image ends up being very garbled. So this means that there has to be some other way, perhaps a software by HXView, that will allow you to actually look at this footage. However, I didn't actually have time to look into it, and I couldn't find a way to look at that footage. But to know that it is recorded there, and if you do find a way to look at the footage, then it's there. Now, the footage that I have been showing you has been recorded via the app. And the one caveat with this is that it is recorded in the phone directly, and it will heavily depend on the 4G connection that the camera is connected to. Right, so if you set it to HD setting, for example, it will look a lot clearer, but it will have a lot lower frame rate, as you can, I think you were already able to see. Setting the resolution to SD does allow for a more smoother frame rate, but it's still not super smooth, so there's a chance that you might miss something important in a skipped frame or two. Now, the camera does support infrared view, meaning that it can record perfectly at night, and it also has, aside from the infrared light, which you cannot see, it also includes an extra white light that everybody can see. So if you want your camera to, if you want people to know that there's actually a camera there, you can turn on the lights at night, and the camera will be very, very visible. It would be very evident that there is a camera there that is recording. So it's up to you to decide whether or not you want the camera to be, in stealth mode, nobody can look at it, or with a very evident light shining down. And the image quality should improve ever so slightly with the white light added into the footage, but it is not necessary because these cameras are able to record very, very clearly using only infrared light. And so there you have it. This is the HxView 4G camera. I hope that this video was helpful. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. And until then, may God bless you all.